Well, let's start with this story. A prominent criminal lawyer has reportedly survived an assassination attempt at his home. ENCA's Monique Motlock is there and tracking the situation now. Monique, a lot of police activity behind you there, and you did spot the man in question, the lawyer who is said to have survived an assassination attempt. Any further details emerging in the last while?
From what we've heard from the officers on the ground, they are combing the area in search for any clues that may lead them to the suspects. They have asked neighbours, people around here who may have security cameras installed or mounted on the walls or around their houses for that footage, because obviously they're trying to track the movements of those armed suspects. Those two armed suspects who I mentioned earlier had been wearing surgical masks, and they had approached the victim, and they then fired several shots. From what we've heard from neighbours, one neighbour told us she heard 4 shots, but what police have told us is it was several shots. But it seems as if there was a clear intent to kill this prominent lawyer, but they were unsuccessful. In fact, none of the bullets even hit this person.
Yeah, I understand, Monique, at this point, investigations could be quite early. You did mention earlier on that this incident took place at around 7 a.m., if I'm not mistaken, this morning, and police continue to search for clues that would lead them to the suspects. But at this point, are they able to perhaps give us an idea of what the intent or motive for this attempted assassination could have been?
Not yet from police, nothing yet officially, but what we can gather is that it may possibly have had something to do with some of the work he's been doing. This lawyer is one of the most well-known defense lawyers in Cape Town. He has never shied away from being vocal in the media when it comes to some of the cases he's worked on. He has represented some prominent alleged criminals in the past, some people who have had alleged dealings in the underworld, and over the years he has been no stranger to receiving death threats because of his clientele. So it may be that today's shooting, and again this is purely speculation, may have been linked to the work that he's been doing, but as yet we haven't yet heard anything official from police in terms of a motive.
All right, so Monique, at the moment, what is it looking like there at the scene in terms of the neighbours? They must be pretty shaken up, I imagine. It looks to us like it's a quiet suburb. For that quiet to be shattered by the sound of gunfire must be absolutely shocking.
Quite a quiet suburb. Let me show you how quiet it is. In the distance, we can actually see this lawyer. We can see him. He's been on his phone and in between taking phone calls from who I'm sure are concerned loved ones. He's also been speaking to detectives, speaking to police officers on the scene. We've been here for about 2.5, 3 hours, and we've seen several police vehicles moving up and down this area. We've also seen some neighbours coming out, obviously some concerned neighbours. In fact, I'm looking at this lawyer right now. He's speaking to a police officer, and he seems, from where I'm standing, he seems physically unharmed, but obviously when one gets shot at, this may do something to your mental health. We see some officers there in the background, the crime scene managers, and it's been busy. It's been surprisingly quiet around the scene, but in this section of Invermark in Higovale, it's been busy. Police activity. We've also seen armed security driving up and down this area.
Yeah, I mean, Monique, as a viewer's perspective, if I'm looking at those visuals right now, I can only guess who the lawyer in question is. Are you able to place it on record, the name of the prominent criminal lawyer?
It is William Booth. So Tumelo, and I'm sure that some of our viewers may recognize his name. Mr. Booth is one of those criminal defense lawyers who hasn't been shy to speak to media in the past when it comes to some of the cases he's worked on. He's always been quite willing to lend a hand whenever those of us in the media fraternity would need his help for whatever it might be, whether it be putting us in touch with another lawyer or just helping out to give comment on any legal matters. So for this to have happened to him, especially when you think about all of the death threats he's received over the years, it might be a shock to his system.
Yeah, absolutely, Monique. I think actually as I look at these visuals, I think there was a similar scene quite a few number of years ago. But also let me tell you a story. My first interaction with William Booth, I was a junior journalist, and there had been a kidnapping in Ennerdale, Tumelo, in Ennerdale, of a child. The child's name, I think, was Liam Aspeling, and William Booth, as it all transpired. I mean, it was just one of those stories where you were trying to figure out what's going on here, who kidnaps a child, and what is the motive. And then later on, there was a link to a syndicate around truck hijackings, and then the name William Booth was mentioned as someone who's involved in the case in terms of representing some of the people in that case. So he is a man with quite a profile in terms of criminal law is concerned. Monique Motlock out there in Cape Town monitoring that situation there, that story breaking in the last while.